Hello everyone, I'm Bo from Brittle Commentary, and today I'm going to be breaking down our main card opener for UFC Paris, Nasruddin Imavov versus Caio Barralho. For our main card opener, we have Patricio Pitbull versus Losene Keita. Keita is making his UFC debut, and right off the bat, he's one of the probably the most hyped signings in the UFC this year. Now, granted, this is a year full of overall really anticipated signees from Pitbull himself, Aaron Pico, oh, and a few others like Harry Hardwick, who's also on this card, pretty good debuting. Robert Ruchala, who I mentioned in a previous video. But I think of some of the debuting ones, Keita is in my top 5 for most exciting debuts. For those of you who don't know him, he is the former lightweight and featherweight champion of Octagon, and you can look him up on YouTube. He is very fucking good, very good. He's 16-1. His only loss it was to an injury to his right foot, I believe, and that or no, I take back. It was it was an injury stoppage is to his foot. That's his only loss to date. Meanwhile, Patricio Pitbull, if you're a hardcore MMA fan or like you've watched Bellator before, then you know he's the former featherweight and lightweight champion of Bellator, veteran of the game. He's 37-8. Now, overall in their last 5, Pitbull is 2-3 in his last 5, while Keita is 5-0. After that loss, he went on a 5-5 win streak to get where he is now. Now, like I said, both guys fought at lightweight, both of them primarily featherweights. This is basically a battle of the best featherweights that were never in the UFC up until now. Like Pitbull recently signed to UFC, and I gotta say, I love the activity from Pitbull. He signed to the UFC in April of this year. Since then, he's fought in July and now this year. I gotta say, I love the activity from Pitbull, and I think it kind of makes sense because he's 38. He knows he doesn't have much time left, so he's trying to make the most of what career he has left in the well. So he's at least trying to make the most of his time here, and I respect him for it greatly. Now, meanwhile, Keita, he's young, he's prime, he's 28, he's starting to enter his prime, and like I said, yeah. I'm telling you right now, watch some of Keita's fights. I see the hype. I really do. This guy is very talented. Now, overall, what does his game generally look like? Well, it's pretty simple, actually. He is a very athletic striker. Like, he's a superb athlete, very good speed, good power, good athleticism. Overall speaking, he's one of the best athletes, definitely, I see in this featherweight division. He's a strong, powerful striker, and while sometimes he does lunge in with a lot of shots, and that does bring me to a concern I have. I'm going to talk about in a little bit. He throws everything with bad intentions, and he has the power, and he has for sure a lot of good power. And even in his grappling, he can attack from his back, but oftentimes or not, he's very good at getting back up immediately, or he has what's known as like first order takedown defense. What that means is like if someone shoots a single on him or shoot a double, he's immediately sprawling, he's fighting grips, he's getting underhooks, he's fighting tooth and nail to not get put down on his back. He has great first order takedown defense. Now, one thing I do concern, sometimes if we can't get that first order takedown defense down, he is kind of content to, I wouldn't say play guard, but like just kind of lay down on his back, kind of. And like I say, he's not necessarily working from guard because he doesn't often attack with subs. He does to some degree, but that's not really his game. But usually when that happens, it's usually by the end of the round, and he knows he's up on the scorecard or for said round, and he just every round starts on the feet. So, but it's like middle of the round. Yeah, he's very explosive. His get up game relies a lot on explosive escapes. Usually how that works is, say someone has him like half guard or something, then they're trying to transition to mount or side control. He'll explode out and usually create a scramble to get back up. Now, here comes the X Factor. He's fighting Patricio Pitbull. And while Pitbull has not looked good of recent years, I mean, he coming in his debut in the UFC, he was 1-2. Now, granted, That loss to Sergio Pettis, that's completely forgivable because he killed himself to try and beat Bantamweight, become a 3-weight world champion. And I think the loss to, I think it was AJ McKee, or the fight in Ryzen, or the fight afterwards where he got finished pretty badly. I think I attribute that more to him still recovering from the weight cut. But then he gets a good win in Ryzen, then he gets the UFC. Out of his UFC career, he lost his debut to Yair Rodriguez, but, no shame in that. Yair's a top 5 fighter and one of the best in the world. Then he rebounds in July by beating Dan Ige in a pretty impressive fashion, I'd say. I mean, now granted, Ige had him rocked and hurt in round 3, but honestly, Pitbull kind of easily dominated round 1 and 2, in my opinion. Well, I guess easily dominated is not the right word I'd use. He was more like he secured himself the win with those first 2 rounds. Now, overall, Pitbull's game, he's known as a pretty short, stocky brawler. He has real good power to him. I mean, think about it. This guy moved up a weight class and knocked out Michael Chandler prime Michael Chandler in round 1 to win the lightweight title. I mean, overall, you look at his accolades, too, in Bellator at least. Most title fight wins, most knockouts, most submission wins, most fights. I mean, he's the greatest Bellator fighter of all time. That is undisputed, for sure. And now he's fighting Keita, who, I'm not too familiar with Octagon and all the time, but I find it a very good promotion, puts in some very good talent, and Keita is one of the best guys to come out of this organization for sure. As for Pitbull's skills, as I was getting to, he's a short, stocky brawler, really good power, but his ground game is super technical and so elite. Like, you look at his fight with Yair. Even once Yair hurt him, he'd snatched up that armbar quick, and he was really close to getting it, I'll say that much. He's very strong. He's pretty muscular at featherweight as well. Now, in terms of, you're going athlete for athlete, Keita's going to be the much faster guy. He might even be the more powerful guy in the striking. And the X factor is definitely the age. Pitbull's 38. He's clearly shown he doesn't take damage as well as he used to, because Ige did rock him in the 3rd round. Yair dropped him in the 3rd round with punches, not kicks. That's a big thing, because Yair's not so much a puncher as he is a kicker. That's usually how he gets his knockouts. And then, one of his other losses in Bellator was a pretty bad knockout loss. Meanwhile, Keita has a really good chin. And I mean, he's been dropped before, or at least what looked like a drop in one of his fights was probably just a slip. He's got a really good chin. And as I mentioned, the loss, while a TKO, it was an injury. As for the betting lines, Keita, even in first debut, fighting the 11th ranked guy in featherweight, he's a 2-1 favorite. He's minus 200 for Keita, plus 165 for Pitbull. I do understand this because being 38 at featherweight is not a good look. Now, granted, Pitbull showed he can still win fights. He beat Dan Ige, who's, not a spring chicken, but in his early 30s. He's not completely out of the water with Father Time. And Pitbull showed you can still get wins at 38. But fighting someone who's about a decade younger than you, who's so powerful, so athletic, and so dangerous, I just think it's kind of a recipe for disaster for Pitbull. Now, there's one thing I will say. If Pitbull can get this to the ground, I see him winning. Because while that explosive type of get-up game is good for certain lower-level fighters, or at least ones that don't have the proper top control like Pitbull does, that can work. But I don't see Pitbull giving up the takedowns, nor do I see him when he gets Keita down, do I see him giving that up. Now, physical specs, that doesn't really play too much of a part for me. 5'6" to 5'9", 67-inch reach, and for some reason though I don't have Keita's. For some reason, Tapology didn't have them, which is weird. But still, Pitbull's always been a short featherweight anyway. Now, what's going to be different is compared to Yair Rodriguez, Keita, while he can fight at range pretty well, usually lunges in with his strikes and closes the distance. And maybe with that, I can see Pitbull using that as an opportunity to get his takedowns in. Either dodging a lunging punch and then securing body lock, get a trip, something akin to that. I definitely see Pitbull doing something like that. But overall, I'm going to go with Keita to win. And I think he can finish Pitbull. I've been thinking Pitbull's durability isn't what it used to be, and while he didn't get finished by Yair and he did beat Ige, he got hurt in both those fights, and he got hurt. I mean, he's been getting hurt recently a lot more in his last 5 fights. And Father Time's undefeated in this game, and I think Keita, who's primed, who's a physical specimen in this division, and overall just a very dangerous athlete. I think he can find the chin of Pitbull. I think he can hurt him. Expect Pitbull to be dropped at least once this fight. I don't see him not getting rocked at least once. That's not. I don't see that happening. And yeah, I just think Keita is primed to win this. I'm picking Keita to win via knockout and / TKO. I'm not sure exactly the round. I'm not a big fan of like predicting what round this happens. That's kind of a little tricky. It's like you have to somehow really think, oh, second round I see him really hurting him, and then third round he finishes, something like that. I'm just picking him by knockout. I think it's going to happen. But that has been my prediction for a main card opener. Next up, we'll have Alex Souza versus Reese McKee. But until then, I've been Bo from Brutal Commentary. I thank you all for listening. I hope you enjoyed. See you next time.